Hey everybody, it's Markus from Analog Things, and today I want to bring you on a little trip to Berlin. So a few days back I actually visited 20x24 studios in Berlin. It's run by Markus, Mahla and Blohm, and they operate one of the original 5 Polaroid cameras. And we did a little interview and we also did some pictures. And Oliver was nice enough to take a portrait of me. And the portrait was actually taken with long time exposure, daylight, because they have like some nice windows on the ceiling. That's why it's a little bit bluish. So the tint comes from that. And it's actually 4 seconds of exposure, so that's why it's not completely crystal sharp, let's say it like this, because holding still for 4 seconds is pretty hard. Today I'm at 20x24 Studios in Berlin, KPM.
Königliche Porzellanmanufaktur.
Okay, great.
It was a Royal porcelain manufacturer.
So maybe you can explain something about 20x24 Studios. What is it and what you do here?
The 20x24 Studio Berlin is a unique place, and we are lucky being here in the heart of Berlin at the Tiergarten. And we have the pleasure to host and own the only 20x24 camera that is left beside the one that is operating in New York City. It's number 5. It's one of 5 cameras that Edwin Lan has built together with his team in the 70s. We were lucky enough to buy it from Jan Nisto, so for everyone who knows it, it's Jan Nisto's camera, the one that was for many years in Prague.
My viewers are a little bit younger most of the times, but some of them may know Jan, and he was actually...
And that is the Prague camera that is now here in Berlin. We're doing large mega format portraits, and also we shoot cars and other things.
Like lions.
Or lions. In the format of 20x24 inch. That's why it's called the 20x24 camera. It's 20x24 inch, or for those who listen and hear in centimeters, it's about 60x50 centimeters, maybe a little bit larger, plus the edges, the iconic Polaroid edges.
It's a huge format, to be honest.
It is.
Probably you've seen the video already we did in Vienna. That's not the original Polaroid camera there, that's the Wisner. That's later built clone of the camera, and it's completely different. Mm-hmm. But Oliver will tell a few words, because you were actually using both of these cameras, so you can tell the difference between them.
So it's like a huge difference, really. Besides that, the Polaroid one is built in one piece, so the processor unit is attached to the camera instead of being separate, which makes the way of working way more comfortable, way faster and stable. So, and with the Wiesner you have, for example, the negative bag, which is not just a huge wooden box. Also the negative is a roll like this, and it weighs, I don't know, around 8 to 10 kilos. And after each picture you do, you need to pull it up from the camera, you need to bring it to the processor itself, and on the way you have a lot of things going on, like could there be light leaks, how do you move the cassette,
maybe the dark slide moves out.
Maybe the dark slide is moving because it's not proper attached.
I know there's so much stuff that can go wrong with that
really
camera.
Like work with blood, sweat and tears. So for example, I had a shooting in Switzerland with the camera, and we started in the morning and I had a black t-shirt, and the end of the day it was white because of my sweat. And here it's like with the number 5, it's a constant way. You can really work on an image, you can step by step without moving too many things, which could distract the whole process.
You can even shoot like a bunch of, like a series of images at the same amount, because you can add multiple developing pods in the camera, which you can.
So for example, on a portrait shooting, you can with different different people. You can have a fixed setup and you make a portrait, open the back door again, take a look, close it again, next portrait.
I guess there was quite a long process before the camera came to Berlin.
A very long process, and actually it goes back into the start of my career. I was in the early 90s. I was at Polaroid.
Mm-hmm.
I was there when I was at university.
Okay.
And I had the pleasure to assist Jan.
Oh, already?
So,
okay, so you know.
In the very early days, and I mean, we traveled around. Even here in Berlin, I was at the Berlinale when we were shooting guys like George Clooney and others. And it was always a pleasure being around. And I was also working with the international collection.
Mm-hmm.
We transferred it to the Musée Européen de la Photo. That was one of my projects. So being a student and having these things around me, it was like a stamp. It was like a mark in my life. And then I was going to consumer electronics and all other things in management in my life. And this never disappeared somewhere in the back of my soul. And it was later in my Polaroid career. I was still at Polaroid. I met this guy from Vienna, Florian Kaps.
Well,
some might know him as the savior of the Polaroid, Doc. Contact here and there, and then he opened the Supersense in Vienna. Yeah. I'm an investor at Supersense, so we know each other very closely, and there was always the idea, if any time Jan would have the idea to sell the camera, we will buy it. Yeah. And then it happened. Nice. But that was the process where Oliver was involved and where a lot of complication went around. But I got that call in the middle of the night, late evening, and Doc said, Jan is in the city. Yeah. He's in Vienna. He's shooting with I think it was Julian Schnabel, and he said he will sell the camera to us. Can you transfer a wire transfer of money? But that was not the problem. The problem was we needed a photographer that Jan trusts, and that was the big guy.
And 1 year earlier, I had an exhibition in Berlin, one of the biggest instant film exhibitions ever made here. Yeah. And that's where Markus came in, but we didn't meet at the exhibition. He just came in as a visitor.
I guess it was the one where also was
at the bikini.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We all met there, obviously, in different times and sections.
And 1 day later, Florian came in, and I was sitting there with my ex-girlfriend who said, you need to go to this guy, and I was like, it's Florian Kaps. And then I said, okay, I need to. And we talked for, I don't know, 1.5 hours about everything, and he was like, hey, you're a cool guy. I need a new operator in Vienna for the Wiesner.
Somebody dropped out.
For the Wiesner. And so I regularly came in, had some jobs, some shootings for bigger clients. Yeah. And then there was one of these magic calls. I was visiting my parents. I think I was sitting on a lake. And he was like, what do you do next week? I need you here. Jan is there with the camera, and one thing we need is, next to the money he wants, an operator. And you need to come in. I can't pay you, but you need to work for 3 days with Jan to gain his trust. Yeah. And these were quite 3 hilarious days. Somehow he's super old school. He did a few things just to trick me and wanted to see if I'm really on focus, and just did the screw on the wrong direction and said, why it's not working? Because he did it in the wrong direction. Very good.
That sounds like Jan, yes.
That's Jan, yeah.
So we have the camera. You got it to Berlin. You made the investment to get the camera here. So what are you offering to the people right now? What can people get from 24 Studios in Berlin?
Well, there are 2 things we're doing here in this beautiful studio, and you saw the size and the conditions we have. We offer all sorts of photography, mainly portraits. So actually everyone can come, book, call in, send us an email, check in and get a portrait. We're doing events. I mean, this beautiful area is also used for, weddings. It's used for company parties. I mean, you can just see there was a wedding. There's flowers all over the place. And we offer the camera as part of events. We have done events before, so we're not only doing it here. We're traveling around Berlin. The other part, the second part, is traveling abroad. There we adventure things like Oliver just mentioned, shooting lions. So to give you an example, we have done so far, to just name 3. An outdoor shooting with a lion south of London. So we travel over the the channel. We went up to Crewe, to the Bentley headquarters.
Okay.
100 years of Bentley, where they brought us, I mean, the most beautiful cars of their company history. Every number one car came in front of the lens, and Oliver shot some incredible portraits of cars, but also portraits with people. We've been to a hidden place that is owned by Bernie Ecclestone, where he has a collection of far over 100 historic cars. And I mean, we've been to West Germany, we've been to the Netherlands, the UK.
And the list is growing.
So the list is growing, and this is the two options you have. You either come here and you have a full equipped studio.
For
and
example,
there's a third one.
As an artist, Blohm booked us for a couple of things. So we went with him. Switzerland was a visa job with him, and then with number 5. And when number 5 came in, he was way more satisfied with the result and the speed and the quality. And I went a couple of times to Austria, Vienna, and to his castle. So to shoot his
so just to show the difference between Wisner and number 5, you actually drove the number 5 from Berlin to Vienna to just shoot it for Evan Blohm because he wasn't satisfied with the Wisner.
Yeah,
so that shows a little bit of the difference. If you're an artist, maybe you can get...
What we did was working with his 1-minute sculptures, which means, for example, you go in a museum and there's a table with a hole in it, and there's written down with a pencil what to do for 60 seconds. For example, this table I'm thinking about is like to pull your fist through the table and stand there for 60 seconds. And of course it's quite weird to sell performances, let's say it like this. And of course he got documentations, he got shootings with his performances, but he wanted the 20 by 24 Polaroid material because of this uniqueness. Even if you shoot 2 things or 1 thing twice, it's always at least at the corners of the chemicals, of the 3D materialisticity.
Yeah, that's something that drew me to Polaroid, the uniqueness of an image, because it's one of the rare formats that is unique in itself.
And then you have an original which is quite near to painting.
I mean, the structure of the image, the borders, everything is so close to an oil painting. I mean,
and as you see the failure that comes like
exactly.
As you
there's
said,
always one. There's never a second one,
and it's always
that
a one
makes
shot.
it unique.
That's true.
If it's not a dead object, it's always just a one shot.
Exactly.
And I think this is why Erwin has chosen Polaroid photography for his art. I mean, you do a sculpture for 1 minute, and then you ban it on a Polaroid large, mega format. I mean, this is a picture that you have forever.
And both moments are unique and come together in this special way.
That's really good. Okay, so if people want to come get a portrait here, which you offer, how far or like how long before should they actually get in touch with you, and where can they get in touch with you?
The earlier, the better. I mean, a week before would be the absolute minimum, so we can do the setup. I mean, you saw the camera. It's a quite complicated setup. Call us, contact us. I mean, on the web we have our websites.
Yes, I will link
our website.
below.
We have both emails. We have our phone numbers. I mean, it's very easy to access.
Good. Okay, so the technical parts, Wisner and Polaroid number 5. You already have the 2 of number 5, since I think you fell in love with that camera.
Of course, you can see it here.
What are the steps actually to taking a 20 by 24? Like people think Polaroid is just an image and it comes out, but like yes, with a normal instant camera, it's a fast snapshot maybe, but now we scale it up to ultra large format, the biggest Polaroid format there is. What are the steps to get one of these amazing images?
First of all, I need to say to work with 20 by 24 is in any way different. So I worked for now 6, 7, 8 years now with 8 by 10, and even all the people that know 8 by 10 know it's like step by step, starting from zero. Because
you need your checklist in your head that you go down like, okay, is the aperture closed or do I expose my negative already?
And on the other hand, every mistake is way more expensive
oh yeah
than on 8 by 10. Next to the technical part of being a photographer, it's a lot of feeling with the camera. It's an old-timer. So like every old-timer sounds every day different, like we have seen on your image. There was a light, an air bubble in between negative and positive, so to get some shape inside. But like starting from zero, building it up, looking at every angle. It's not, you can't work in a rush, because if you are rushing, you definitely make a mistake. The mistake can take time, the mistake can take money. So that is the 2 things that can happen. And but when the object, everything is set up, and the object or the person is in front of the camera, it's like is it now easier to move the camera? Is it easier to move the person? Like checking the light twice. Then how long is the bellow now? How much light does the bellow suck in that you need to compensate? And how is the pressure? How does the rollers feel? For example,
distance of the rollers.
we had a job in Hamburg, and it was super cold outside. So we got a freezer car that can also heat up.
Yeah.
So the camera with a wood metal mix, and also the chemicals were stable.
Yeah.
Because when the camera is cold, of course, the rollers feel different when it's warm.
Exactly.
And it's more.
And the chemistry doesn't work when it's cold or too cold actually.
And for example, 8x10 I always described as an extension of the body, and with a 20x24 it's more like a symbiosis.
Yeah, because you have a body that's bigger than yours.
Yes.
I mean, the most iconic thing that I love to watch when you work with it, and we just did it together, is when you put your ear on the wood part of the camera to hear that the pot has really fallen in the right way. I mean, that's the most iconic thing that also people watch when we are on events.
Yeah.
It's like, what is he doing?
Yeah, why is it like
I mean, it's really
some charms.
It's really, that's the thing with the original Polaroid camera, that you have to listen to the pot falling between positive and negative to know if it's there. Otherwise you have an error that's super expensive.
Yeah.
Because the film is just like a rest that we have, like that you have available actually, just for the next years. So if you want to get a portrait on original Polaroid material, you should be fast, to be honest.
And even if we are able to save the material for the next generation, the chemicals will be different. So this is what we have now, is the original Polaroid camera with the original chemicals.
I think we kind of summed everything up here. If you want to get your pictures, get in contact with Oliver or Markus. They have an amazing studio here. We will show the footage. We did some shots that are amazing. Oliver was nice enough to take an image of me.
And you did an image of me?
Yes, I already took one. I mean, I just did the focusing, so that's...
At least. You did the clip.
Yeah,
that's what people pay me for.
Yeah. We come into
make a clip.
We come into a different discussion then with like who is the actually owner of the images. Okay, so thank you very much for taking your time.
Thanks for coming.
For having me. And I think now, we say goodbye to everybody.
Hey, ciao.
Bye.
So, and if you want to get images of like yourself, or you have some project ideas and you want to get in contact, hit up Markus or Oliver. Their contact data will be linked in the description below. Also their website. Seeing them in real is like completely different. So thanks for watching the interview. If you like it, thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. If you want to see more content, subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.